everyone, welcome to the channel for a new battle report. So I'm playing currently a league with some teammates from Switzerland. We have like 16 players total. We made group of 4 and the top two of each group is going to be qualified for the next round, and then it's going to be knockout phase. So basically it's a good way to play some games with your mate, and I think that's something also happening in a lot of countries, but that's the first time that we do it. In Switzerland I was facing paired against Mibola for this first game. He's playing Warrior of the Dark God. My list was for me the occasion. This Swiss league we don't have any fixed list, so basically every round we can switch the list. We just had to select 2 army book that we like to play. We can switch one time during the whole tournament, and other than that we are quite free. So I selected obviously Infernal Dwarves and Ogre Khan for my army books. For this game I played the following list. I wanted to try out the Tauric Anointed Star, so it was just shortly before the update. So obviously the gunnery team are going to be nerfed with the loss of accurate, so it's different mechanic and obviously it would be a different list. But for this one I kept some things that I played in the past. So 2x2 22 Citadel Guard, 1 time Immortal, all of them with gunnery team. Then I tried the Immortal, Disciples of Lugar and Tauric Anointed as more like type of hammer unit in the list, so we'll see how that goes. And for the magic I went with a really cheap setup. My opponent's playing a very powerful mage, which is a master of occultism. Then he has a Doom Lord, which is going to be within a unit of Forsworn and going to be bodyguard. It's quite fighty. He has a Chief on Behemoth, which is really cheap, 370. Very strong character for the price, I feel. 24 Warrior with Zealot are auto-include at the moment. Then he has 11 Fallen as a Mage Bunker, 6 Forsworn with Damnation, great weapon, also quite popular, 4 Chosen Knight and 2 Warrior Chariot. So no Helmo, but a lot of threats on the table. We were playing Forage and Plunder and Frontline Clash. We got, from my side, Settle the Score. I debated between Unleash the Big Gun, which would have been similar to Forage and Plunder, and I think would have been a wiser option. I chose to elect Settle the Score to get to kill his Forsworn Damnation, but I think wasn't the best idea, and he had Demonstrate Superiority, and below you have the spell selection. So matchup analysis, you saw quickly the map. Obviously winning the roll would be a big advantage. I played before on Forage and Plunder on this map, and if you recall, that was the ID against ID match. And basically if you are bottom, you are forced to pick that lake, which is obviously a huge problem, because then the opponent can start within the train and have an easy plunder, and also the ruin is really close to the deployment zone, so huge advantage to be here choosing the side basically. He has an attacking list without Elmo, which is a bit less of a problem, but then he has more things on the table. Priority for my range damage are Forsworn, obviously. I felt that my block should be able to hold most of the 1-1 battle as long as I secure counter charge, and estimation quite equal. I feel I have some good tools, but he has more mobility, maybe more aggressive army to go on the table, and obviously huge variation around the primary objective. The Forage and Plunder curse, like I call it now. So basically those type of map where you are forced to select a piece of terrain that is at least partially in your opponent's deployment zone, which is basically shooting yourself in the foot, but you have no other choice. So my opponent very wisely took the top, picked the lake. I had to pick the other lake. And it's the second time I have the exact same map with the exact same configuration, and it's very annoying. Obviously in that setup I couldn't really put a unit on the far right because he's too strong in close combat, and as you can see between the Chosen Knight and the Behemoth he can kill any of my single unit alone. So I didn't feel it was really a good option for me to isolate something on the far right here. It's really hard to reach this part of the map on the right with a unit alone out of the magical setup. I felt it would be too risky. So we went with exchange of drops basically. As you can see, he minimized 26 with some of his units, and at some point toward the end I just dropped the rest and told him you can start the game. So basically I wanted to make him pay for the minimization, and he loses a bit of ground for his turn 1. So that was my idea. He has from left to right tried the Doomstar. You have the Forsworn Damnation, Chariot, Big Warrior, the Fallen with the Mage. On the right you have Chosen Knight and the Behemoth. From me, I have the Kadim Chariot alone on the right, then the Lamassu in the back, Immortal with Rocket, Citadel, Giant and Mortar, Anointed Star, and Disciples of Lugar. I think here my opponent here very wisely waited as long as possible to see where my rocket go to be out with the Doomstar, and I think my rocket battery might have been a bit too central to cover that area of the field, which is really key considering that the lake might be a key part of the battle here regarding the primary. So I think here he deployed better than me regarding that. I should have just switched positioning between Titan Mortar and a rocket battery, and I think I would have been much better in that case. Let's move on to turn 1. So my opponent pushed to the right, so at least the good news was that he needs to keep the Chosen Knight within the lake for 3 turns, which is at least something for 2 turns. Then he can start to move, so that's at least something, some delays. Far right he pushed, and he elected to stay out of range of my shooting in the middle. Magic Phase is going to get a very strong Magic Phase with Hereditary 4 dice on Maluga, despite the magical resistance. He gets Hereditary with a high roll. I let that go, it does 4 wounds, and then with 3 dice against my 4 dice, he gets a Grave Call on my Anointed, which managed to do a total of 4 wounds. So yeah, 8 hits, wounding on 4+, I have a 5 up, so 4 wounds is a lot, and 3 dice against 4 was annoying. It was a small card, so yeah, that's a bad start for me because I need those 2 units to be healthy in order to push forward, and that's already a bad start. But despite that, I elected to push forward. Magic Phase, I try to get Hereditary on the Doomstar, but he recognized that's a key spell, so he dispels that. I get a Ward Save to protect my Anointed. Titan Mortar and Rocket Battery shoot at the Fallen. That was my only eligible target. I felt if I get a good roll of Titan Mortar, maybe he could basically fell below the 5 model, and I could potentially target his mage with the Rocket Battery, which would have been huge, but I was just short of 2 model to get that. So I was just able to shoot at the Fallen, but then he needs to switch in another unit basically. And that's it for my turn. His turn 2, continue to push on the right. The Chosen have to stay in the lake. Pushes his block in the middle to prepare the Plunder, and pushes a bit the Doomstar on the left. And the Chariot very wisely stays in the back to avoid any kind of shooting from my Rocket Battery. I'll just here as counter charger, and basically he's quite safe here. In the Magic Phase, he gets Hereditary on the Lugar with 4 dice against my 5 dice despite the MR2, and kills another 4 Lugar, and then gets also obviously a Grave Call on my Anointed and kill another Anointed. So that's 2 turns that I get both Hereditary and Grave Call, and that hurts. Here 3 wounds despite 5 up, 5 up. Again, that's way too much. And now I'm really stuck because he has a full Doomstar, and I have 2 half unit, and I need to move back. Basically I have no solution. So here I turn around to shoot this guy. In the middle I stay where I am. Here I move slightly back, cannot really push forward. Magic Phase, I get Flaming Sword on the Rocket Battery on the right. I get Ward Save on my Anointed to protect them. Shoot with Rocket Battery on 3 up, manage to do 4 wounds, which is a good start. And then I'm also getting 2 wounds here on the 4th one, which is also a start. And Titan Mortar kill 3 warriors, so that's also not too bad. Let's continue his turn. Those guys stayed in the back because he saw that it was blocking his counter charge here. But basically he pushed forward, it's going to be stubborn. I cannot charge him. Even with both units, I'm going to have no ranks. I have no chance of killing his Doom Lord, so he's going to be alive. And that's way too risky for me, and I have mainly no way to chaff this unit here. So that's very safe. He gets the Plunder. He's going to get the primary, and there is nothing really I can do against that about that, since I took heavy casualties. So since he's on the front foot, he just moved this guy away. Doesn't want to give me any points. Those guys push forward. In the Magic Phase, he gets Hereditary on the Lugar again, did 4 wounds. Grave Call this time fails on 3 dice, and I dispel the Ward Save. And that was it. My turn 3. I move with the Lugar out of range, out of line of sight of those guys to threaten them. Here I move a bit in the back, but I cannot move too much, so I'm still a threat of his charge. We will see what he does. Those guys position as counter charger as well, and then ready to shoot at those guys here. Magic Phase, I'm going to get Hereditary, try to get Hereditary on the Doomstar, but he dispelled that. Then I get the Ward Save on the Anointed to protect them, but I do Amnesia, so I'm going to lose that one for the rest of the battle. Shooting, I will kill 2 force 1 here, so that makes it a bit more risky for him to go into combat, but he doesn't really need to. Titan Mortar managed to do 4 wounds on the Damnation, and Rocket Battery 4 wounds on the CK. So that's enough, but yeah, like I said, he got the primary, so now he can just retreat, move back, and I'm going to be hard for me to catch him, basically. Yeah, just move slightly back, magic phase. He got again hereditary, 4 dice against 5 on my Lugas. I'm tired of this magic phase. Kill 6 Lugas, and then I get another Grave Call, 4 dice against 4 dice. And basically managed to kill some more Lugas. I have just 1 guy left. But yeah, those 3 magic phase out of 4 have been horrendous, getting both Grave Call and hereditary despite MR2. That's been really not enjoyable at all. Yeah, and that's about it. He got on the process at least Witchfire, which is 8 hits on his sorcerer alone. Resistance 4, 3 wound, 4 armor save, meaning 8 hits on 5 up. And then only saving on 6 up, so he could have definitely blown his 600 point mage. I would say it should be like close to a 50% chance of blowing, but he managed to survive on just 1 wound, unfortunately for me. Next, my turn 4, try to move again a bit forward now that I crippled a bit his Doomstar. I feel that I can start to push a bit more in the center. In the magic phase, I get +1 to hit on the Anointed, Rocket Battery, do 6 wounds to the Damnation, and Titan Mortar, some wounds on the Doomstar, and that's about it. Yeah, he just moves back, try to defend a bit, but not doing much. He got the primary, so he's on the front foot. I get Grave Call on the magic, do 3 wounds on my Anointed, Hereditary Dispel on my Anointed. My 5, I push forward trying to get those guys, because they are secondary and they are worth a lot of points, so I'm thinking if I kill them this turn, that should be close to a 10-10. And then my turn, that should be, yeah, it should be close to 2 points. And then maybe I can get the warrior, so I could get something close to a draw, despite losing the primary. So that's going to be my game plan. So Magic tried to get Hereditary on the first one, which I get +1 to hit as well in the unit chaffing, this unit here, chaffing the warrior basically. And then shooting is 8 shot on 4+, wounding on 2+, and he's saving on 5+. I would say, yeah, it's 8 shot, 4 hits, potentially 4 wounds, and then he saves on 5, so I could be killing them. Again, should be close to a 50-50. Unfortunately for me, he managed to do the worst, which is all 3 5-up armor saves, so I make 0 wound with the 2 rocket batteries, which is drama for me, because he can easily now save his secondary objective, my secondary objective, since he just has to push 12, and then I have only 1 rocket battery that could shoot, and I will have a choice to make, as you will see, between charging the warrior or shooting for the secondary only with 1 rocket battery. And since I managed to do 0 wound with 2 rocket, I wasn't feeling great about trying that and maybe failing the warrior. So the warrior is still here, he moves away, and my 6, boom, I combo charge everything. I took no risk, wanted to get rid of those 500 points warrior. I couldn't risk the immortal failing the charge, so I sent really everybody to kill the warrior. And yeah, those guys are alive, unfortunately for me. If he would have had maybe 2 wounds left, I could have tried something more risky, but here I felt it wasn't worth it at all, and I just failed the charge here with the BSB on 6, but the rest was pretty much automatic. Got some boost, and I just auto-break him. And that's the end of the game, guys. So I took the warriors, he took half the Lugas, he took the primary, it's a 12-8. Yeah, frustrating game for me. Losing the roll, obviously dramatic consequences. He pushed me, blocked me a bit, and then I wasn't really able to push more. I didn't have anything to really break the distance. So I was feeling a bit, how should I say, toothless, more or less. Happy to let him start, obviously, and avoid losing 1 turn of range damage. But at the same time, I felt I misplaced 1 gunnery, and after that it was too late, and he was able to escape me with the Doomstar. And it was a key part of the map where he's able to inflict range damage on 2 combat units who were supposed to deal with the Doomstar, while I wasn't able to do anything at his Doomstar with the range damage, which just allows him to push forward. As soon as he did enough damage, which was 2 turns, was enough to push forward, and then couldn't do anything about that. So yeah, just played for the primary, minimized the range damage losses, and went away. Secondary, I felt I should have picked Unleash the Big Guns. I think that was an easy point to achieve for me. End up in the rain, end up in the water. I think that was quite okay to achieve. And it's the same as the Forage and Plunder, so more or less the same mechanic, I would say. So I should have picked that instead. That was an easy point that I could have grabbed. On the micro level, yeah, huge job from his Magic. I mean, out of the 4 first turn, he got 3 times Hereditary and Grave Call through my dice. And Each time I had 1 dice more than him despite the magical resistance. Obviously he got +1 to cast damage missile due to Veil Walker, but still, that was too much for me. Yeah, decisive save on my turn 5. I could have still saved a draw if I kill the fourth one, and that's my secondary plus the point, so that's definitely 10-10. So a bit disappointing here. And Anointed Star unable to engage was frustrating game for the Anointed. Tried to protect them, cast some ward save, didn't do anything. I just lost too many models too soon, and then it was just a huge problem for the Anointed, so I needed to move them away basically. And yeah, I felt he did a good job at the deployment, minimizing the rocket. Should have anticipated better what he could have done with the Doomstar on the left, and make sure that I get a rocket that shoots 6 turns at this Doomstar. And yeah, I think on 2 turns, then he can't push anymore, and that would have been way harder for him to go to the lake. And that was my intention, to put huge strengths on the left flank to make sure he doesn't get to the lake. But actually my combat power wasn't really good, and the Torque Anointed, I felt I was against the only matchup that I couldn't really manage. So I'm asking myself, was my deployment really right? I mean, could have done the opposite. Put the rocket batteries more center left and get Anointed center right to just block anything that he would send towards me. Would have been also an option. I felt 1 rocket near the Impossible was good to manage his behemoth. Maybe the Anointed a bit more to the center and then 1 rocket more to the left. Obviously easier to say when you know how the game went, obviously. So guys, bit frustrating game, not so enjoyable battle report, but the next one will be much better. You can be confident of that. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. Talk to you soon on the channel. Goodbye.